Well, the McDonald family are on their way back to Ontario. We are going to train tomorrow. We're going to drone tomorrow, much like we videoed today. We almost didn't get all the videos done. If you guys noticed, the camera guy saw the last set of trainers go and left because when I filled in, I guess you guys don't see the same set list I do, like the back end of it. And I had erased set 7 because we had an extra rider in Daryl ride out. So I erased set 7. And there was a gap to where it said joggers, but I still wanted to video the joggers. I wanted to give everybody a chance to look at Chappie, albeit rough. He still is trotting. Who else was there? Oh, Hell No, looked fine. Tell you who I thought looked a lot better than I thought he did. I'm a trucker. We blistered him up real good the other day. Put a good blister on his knees and his hocks and stifles. I thought he looked a little off right front the other day. Now, when they went with him today, he looked great. But still, we're going to back off with him a couple of weeks. There's no rush. Michigan Stakes are a little bit later in. Anyway, so, Oh Hell No looked comfortable, which is good. I'm a Trucker looked good. Chappie trotted. The Kemp horse felt better. You know, it's hard to explain. The reason we backed off the Kemp horse, he had cut his pastern, but literally cut like a flap of skin. He'd cut it somehow, and it kind of looked a little grotesque for a couple of weeks. We were just jogging him. He's sound on it. He's fine on it, but it's just healing over now. So I said, why don't we just jog him rather than try and go a mile? God forbid he try and go a mile and he hit there. Oh my God, that would hurt. So we just opted to go with him in that regard. And then Baby Zet, stifles look very weak on that filly too. We're gonna continue baycoxing her and blistering her. For all my partners on her, I'm not overly worried about Baby Zet. More of a maturity thing. Those weak kind of soupy stifles, they'll come. You should put work into them and blister them and baycox them. Those horses will come along, and she is going through a little growth spurt. So those 5 horses in particular needed to go in a jogging set. Chap led the parade because that's as fast as he can go right now. And the other 4 horses had very good reasons to be in there also. So I was happy with the joggers. But I guess if we rewind, not really rewind, because in the midst of all this, we had horses in another country qualifying and schooling. I'm happy to report that Looks Like Money schooled in 2 minutes last half in 57. James said he was great. He's qualifying next week. So we're getting Looks Like Money is on the cusp of re-qualifying. Also qualifying today officially. Seasons of Love's last quarter was flat 33, but it looked like they went a little hot up front. There was no vet there to scope the horse, so we couldn't get her scoped. I would have liked to see what her airway looked like with a 33 second last quarter. Maybe that's all she was ready to go was 2-3, which is fine. Maybe that's all she can go. Nobody knows yet. But I would like to know what didn't go wrong. So it would narrow down the list of what did go wrong, because I do categorize 33 flat at the end of it as something going wrong, obviously. So, Addie, turn that down, sweetheart. I would suspect we're going to start her in Flamborough or London anyway, Seasons of Love. Listen, she qualified. We got her there. Let's see what happens after that. I've always liked the filly. I always thought she was very tenacious, but a little finicky. So let's see. She's got her qualifier into her. Let's see how she races her next start. Her first start, lifetime. I thought Hallie in the Clouds looked very good. 28 in the piece, 28-4, I think you said on the end of it. I thought she looked rather well. I was really happy with her qualifier. She's got a big giant gate on her. I like everything about her. Warmly Welcome was the horse he was talking about. James, I remember
That's
now.
who she reminds of?
No, he just said, you know, it could go either way, and that's,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, funny how that just popped into my head now. Text him saying it just popped into my head. James was happy with where we welcome. He was very happy with her for a while. James was happy with Hallie in the Clouds. I brought up War We Welcome. Many of you that have been with us a long time. These muscle masses, they come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them get there and fizzle out, and other ones get there and take off. And it's not like other breeds where you can gauge, right? And Hallie looked good today. Now come the other hurdles. How much faster can you go and go and go and go? And what do you want to do? And where will that take you? And it's the coolest part. It's the scariest part in some regard, but the coolest part of racing is watching these youngsters perform and get to where they're comfortable, and then seeing if they can push forward. So Hallie in the Clouds I thought was good, and Oakwood Cowboy, James said he felt okay. I got the feeling that he wasn't impressed with him. He did come 28-2 a mile 59, and it's not like this horse has never been lame. So we gave him a rest, brought him back. It's going to take some work to get him back into the position that we want him in. There's a horse at pace 51 for us at Mohawk. Pace 52 to 1 and 52 at Northfield. His problem before was his breathing. It looks like we've got that under control, and it's working well now. I don't know how else to put it. He's going to go back for another qualifier next week. I'd love to see 55, 56 out of him. But again, we'll see how that plays out. Now, the fun part of the morning, aside from the qualifiers, was obviously watching the babies perform. I got a bird's eye view of almost everybody. Where's the sheets thing on here? Find the set list on here, will you? It's frustrating. We had, 6 sets? Yeah, template, exactly. What do we have, 6 sets today?
Yeah.
6 sets of baby 6 and 7 horse fields. There were a couple of horses that disappointed me. I was a little disappointed that Jim Bree had made a break on Amy, and she's not an easy horse to get along with. And I tried to explain to Amy to the point where she got a little angry at me, I believe.
Yeah, it wasn't her.
No, just in general. Tried to explain to Amy it's not easy to explain what the horses are doing wrong, and the one thing that the horses themselves, they don't mean to, but they fall into this trap, is when they get to a turn, allowing them to slow down because you think it's going to steady them isn't always the appropriate action, right? And the one thought that would go through anybody's head is it really risk pushing this horse now and it may be making a break? At this point, is it worth pushing them? That's exactly what we're here to do, right? I don't really care about the breaks. The breaks will come and go. The breaks will allow us to get to the truest information that allows us to stop those breaks from happening when they get to the track, right? And when I see a horse like Jim Bree make a break, the track was very hard for the first 2 or 3 sets, which played a role. Any of the horse with splints, they were feeling it. Any of the horses, their feet maybe bothered them, or horses like the last set, the jogging set, where a couple of horses where knees were bothering them earlier in the morning, that would have really bothered them a lot. So Amy said Jim Bree was on the left line a bit. A lot of these horses, and I talked to Dr. Latessa about it, we have about 15 horses that have some splints and need touched up. Maybe they're small and they're getting better, or maybe they're bigger and biting on them. But what we generally do to attack that is blister the horses, blister those splints a couple of times, and if need be, then we will attack them with the cryo gun. But that will take, I don't mean literally attack them, I mean attack the splints with the cryo gun. That will take a little time. So I told them maybe on a day when it's going to be a rain day or a snow day, or just a quiet Monday, bring a big bucket of nitrogen in for that cryo gun, and we'll do some splints and curbs up real good. But overall, I was thoroughly happy with our group today. Now, when I go through that set list, I look at set number 1. Gorgeous Package actually won the set. I don't know if you know that. Gorgeous Package looked extremely good finishing up. Daryl said, she's snaky all over the track. Yeah, she gets that way. It's all part of learning. Yes, but they're not the same. She's a ladder up, right?
No, I know.
Yeah.
They both do the same thing.
They do, because they're learning. They're learning the pace. And Gorgeous Package looked very, very good. Southwind Idax, I was second. He went a very good mile. He's getting better every week. I told you guys once I got going with this horse and kept him on his toes and opened his eyes to exactly what he needed to do and what I was asking him to do, I thought he would come forward. Now, in fairness, we did make some significant shoeing changes to him, but at the same time, I think he's much, much better now. Blue Ventura was good. LT Troubadour, Jason lost him in the last turn. I had told him, get his head up, get some bell boots on him. I think we fall into the trap where they train good on a Wednesday. We just assume they'll train good on a Saturday. But what we really have to drill down on is, what did they not do good on Wednesday that we can improve on Saturday? Because you do get some regression. If you go a good mile with a horse and a splint's bothering them a little bit on a Wednesday, they're not going to come back super good on a Saturday, and you have to be aware of that. Pull to sit up on the training day, put a little scurf on it or a blister on it the next day, and make a point of that, right? And then if equipment is needed to help them out with that, a Murphy blind or an ear hood or anything, just keep them quiet or keep them straight, then that's what we have to do. You always have to keep chipping away and polishing until you're comfortable with what you have. And I think LT Troubadour trained great his last 2 training sessions, and I think that maybe today on a harder track he was a little warmer. Adeline Hope, sorry honey, can you turn that down? I saw you fall asleep. Just turn it down a little bit because you were sleeping anyway, babe. And then Jim Bree, she had mauled them the last 2 times she went, but the chimpanzees can be a little ornery, right? And as I said to Amy,
Did you watch the video?
it's hard sometimes. You want to go out, and this is where James and I would differ. James wanted to go jog them all slow and then wonder why they run, or they'd run and run and run, and eventually, he would have to train them up a little harder or wait till they stretch them out a little bit. Whereas I don't like that. I would like them to go on the track and do their work. So if I think that there's a horse that maybe I can see some deficiency in the warm-up, just the 3 laps or 2 laps that we're warming them up, hanging on a line a little bit or being a little rude, I'll turn them and score them down, take the starch out of them, and really put them on the bit and make sure that they understand it's go time. Today we compete. It's not joke time. And that's what I try to get through. That's why I said to Amy is, it isn't that you jog them around an extra lap. That thawing them out's great. It's great for a little older horse, but for the babies, it doesn't work the same way. I like to score them down, put them on the bit, and then I can see what is that horse going to do when it gets to the turn. What is it going to do in the turn? Did it put any steps in? If it did, what steps did it put in? Where did it put it in? It's try to stay ahead of the horse, right? And I had said this to her when I said, she asked why I moved Melisandre when I did. We'll talk about her in a minute, but why I moved her 3 wide when I did, because it was time to get her on the bit. Wake her up, let her understand that this is competition, and I want you to do your work very, very well, and that's why I had moved her. And not to say that there's anything she could have done with Gymboree today. Maybe she got a splint coming and just on that left line, but I think she was just acting up and feeling good, and it ended up turning badly and turning into a break. But they are babies. It'll happen. And as I said, I'm not overly worried about the brakes. Addie Barry, gotta go down a little bit, baby. I'm not worried about the brakes. The brakes lead us to the information we need to ensure that those brakes don't take place in the summer. So it's all informative. And then he's a great guy, Mountaineer Prince. Jason said he had to check Mountaineer Prince, but he was trotting great. And he's a great guy, has been awesome. And I think that Joey just maybe allowed him to over-trot himself down the lane. You had the Payson Philly Gorgeous package coming with all the momentum. I slid to the inside, and he was really trotting Southwind Ibex at that point. And I think he's a great guy. Just they caught him off guard, and I think he just rolled off stride and over-trotted himself. There's a horse that I had said multiple times to everybody, he is going to get to his elbows. I'm almost certain of it. Probably should almost just start putting the elbow boots on him now, because if you have a horse that's in that comfort zone trotting along nicely, and then you go to drop the hammer, it only leads, it only makes it's only common sense that their first stride would be up into that elbow. You see them go to bounce forward, and then they'll roll off stride. More times than not, they hit. And in his case, I think it might have been the elbow than anything else. Now, set number 2, Speed of Sound was good. Her splints do bother her. She got 2 big splints up front, 1 on each leg. They need to be cryoed. I try to go easy with her. A couple of times I've asked her to sprint on the end of it, and she rolled off stride at me. So I just let her creep forward into Amy's bridle. I was thoroughly impressed with it. I don't play nice, and you had said he just feels like he doesn't have that snap. But I've seen that snap from him. I put him in gear a couple of times. He hangs out, right? He likes to play a little bit, but did his work well today, and I thought both him and Speed of Sound looked very, very good. Manhattan Money, Eric had told me, he goes, you'd mentioned to me the other day, maybe hobbles. He said, I can see it today with the hard track that maybe he does need the hobbles. So we're going to probably apply those. I said maybe jog him tomorrow with them and then train him Wednesday and Saturday. Now, Amy and I and the kids are gone away next week. So Wednesday, there's some horses that have either been doing it very, very well that can just take a week off, or some horses like Oh He'll Know and those horses that will just jog for the week. Manhattan Money will spend the week working with his hobbles on and see if they can get him to a point where he's good and he's comfortable. The biggest problem with... Did you go on Starbucks? It's right here, right?
Because I'm fine.
You got to order it, though.
I can't order it.
You can't order it. I'm going to be right back. I have to order Starbucks first. 1 second.